Ba 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 ba. Hip and the lip. Ba 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 ba. From unknown parts of metropolitan New York City, I am the hip, and this is a lip.
Yes, good evening, everybody out there in Hip and Lip Nation. Hopefully, you have enjoyed the opening night of NFL 2016, as that's when you most likely will be listening to this. The conclusion of game number one, as the NFL opens, of course, in extravagant fashion. What else is new, as is typical of the NFL? But yes, good evening, a Thursday. That's right, a Thursday evening.
News break. Cam Newton's limping. Live. Oh boy, coming off the field limping. Fantasy people are freaking out. Oh God, who's the backup? Derek Anderson. Oh,
Derek Anderson. That's right. I saw him on the sideline. He was like talking to him, and Newton's like, "Yeah, go away. You're Derek Anderson."
Well, he might be getting up now. Cam Newton was being assisted to the bench.
There's a certain person in our fantasy league may not be too happy about that.
Thousands of fantasy owners across the country and world cringing. Oh, fantasy.
Oh no, my quarterback. I don't care about the Carolina Panthers. But my quarterback. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? Well, if you're in a one quarterback,
I mean, we're making fun of ourselves too. Let's.
Oh, absolutely. If you can't make fun of yourself. Well, if you're in a one-quarterback league, hopefully you have a decent backup. But we're in a two-quarterback league, so God help us if any of our starters go down. But I have
pretty much. That's what we're setting ourselves up for. In fact, I'll just quickly say for leagues that start two quarterbacks, I think that like a league like ours next year, we should propose to change the second quarterback spot to what they call a super flex, which means it's like a flex, but you can also plug in a quarterback. And the reason for that is, let's say you have a second quarterback and he goes down and there's simply no starting quarterbacks available on the wire, you can still plug in a receiver or a running back or a tight end. On average, they score fewer points. You're almost always going to want to use the second quarterback in that super flex spot, but at least it creates that flexibility. Anyway, you don't even have to react to that. We're already going on more tangents than originally intended. As Cam Newton, it looks like he's starting to walk a little less slightly.
Yeah, he's
fine. Limping a little less slightly. So this is, in fact, we say a New York Islanders podcast, and there will be a minute or two of Islanders news in early September. This is evolving into a New York sports podcast as the last few episodes.
Yes, the evolution continues. Yes,
indeed, and there's so much to cover and so little time, as the late Gene Wilder said. In fact, he said he said so little to do, so much time. And it is weird actually looking at Peyton Manning in the booth of an NFL game of watching the team that he won the Super Bowl with last year from the booth. Very, very odd picture to kind of take in right now. Makes me feel old that we kind of followed Peyton Manning's entire career. We were, old enough to, be following the NFL when he was a rookie all the way through, and we're just getting old, man. That's it.
But think about when you were a Jet fan. Think about it as a Jet fan back in '97 when the Jets had the number one overall pick, and Peyton had the option to come out of college after his junior season, and the Jets would have drafted him, no question, number one. Instead, he stays. And the rest, as they say, is history. Speaking, though, of Gene Wilder, speaking of old, any thoughts? Now, for those that don't know, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is maybe the Hips, and you can confirm this, favorite movie, if not like top 5 of all time. Maybe all-time favorite.
Top 5 at the very least. I don't know if I could give it absolute favorite, but I will give it top 5.
All right. So any quick thoughts on the passing of the immortal Gene Wilder?
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination. If you want to view paradise, Simply look around.
and you will.
All right. Okay, next. I'm guessing
Well,
we listen to this again.
we haven't done a duet yet on the show. So
Right, but I think the way that it records here, it's not simultaneous. I think it's like you're a second after me, and so it just sounds horrible.
Uh-oh.
All right.
All right,
So,
next.
all right, so we're going to get through too much in too little time. Mets, Yankees, yes, they are still relevant. In fact, one of these two teams may actually make at least make the wild card round game, which is kind of remarkable considering how pessimistic we were weeks ago. And we have Jets and Giants week 1 games to preview in the NFL season to kind of, set the stage for what should be, as always seems to be, an exciting NFL football season with all the trimmings.
With all the trimmings, yes. NFL football Sunday with all the trimmings and all.
But before we get to the trimmings on your taint, let's cover your New York Islanders. What exciting breaking news do you have for us about the New York Islanders of Brooklyn?
Well, this is the way of the Islanders staying relevant during the non-hockey portion of the calendar year. As another article comes out in Newsday. Newsday broke this story as there's been so much speculation as to the Islanders' contract with Barclays and when's the opt-out, when can they opt out, is there even an opt-out, what's the deal? So apparently everything was secondhand sources, and the Islanders apparently got their hands on documents that confirm the actual details of the terms of their lease with the Barclays. So the Islanders apparently, I'll just run through this and then get a thought in or two and then moving on, because I've had enough of this Islanders moving after the lease. So who at this point I don't care. They're at the Barclays next season.
I'm going to sit here and close my eyes and rest up to have enough energy for the rest of the show as you walk through this excitement.
I promise this will be quick. They're playing at the Barclays next year, so what happens after is anybody's guess. But bottom line is, after the Islanders complete their second season, so at the end of next season, the two sides will have until January 1st, 2018 to renegotiate the terms of their deal. If they don't reach, if they don't renegotiate the deal, they can either stay with the current deal or choose to opt out. Each side has until January 30th, 2018 to deliver an opt-out notice in writing. If the Islanders decide to opt out, the team can choose to leave at the end of either its third or fourth year, and if Barclays triggers it, then the Islanders would have to leave after the fourth season. Very simple, but they have to. But in order to be able to trigger the opt-out, they have to enter into good faith. Our resident attorney here, Mr. Hip, I'm sure hears this all the time. Good faith negotiations in order to be able to trigger the opt-out. The definition of good faith, who the hell knows? But who the hell cares? So we'll find out. I'm sure there'll be more articles, more rumors, more conjecture and speculation about where the Islanders may move to. Whatever. The World Cup of Hockey is a couple weeks away, and actually training camp is a couple weeks away, but if you can believe it or not. And I guess we'll actually have to talk about the World Cup of Hockey, which is only a few weeks away as well. So,
absolutely.
Yep.
Did you say something?
I was trying to come across with a sarcastic tone when I said we'll have to talk about the World Cup of Hockey.
You'd have to think that these kinds of clauses are built into other team stadium agreements. You just wonder, is this one with the Barclays and Islanders being highlighted because, I don't know, people miss Nassau Coliseum? And so they're just trying to find storylines?
Maybe. It's just weird, though, because the Islanders are tenants of this building, and that they have an unusual agreement.
Yeah. But maybe it's more common than we think. We're just not aware of it. That said, I don't think there's much more to add here. It is what it is, and it's probably nothing. And let's move on.
Yeah. Well, the one other thing I'll say is that Garth Snow probably is still sleeping with his alarm set for October 3rd or whatever, whenever the season begins. So someone don't anybody wake up Garth. Garth is in his hibernation, his deep slumber for the remainder of the off season, even though the team is actually worse than last year. But anyway, I digress. We can get that over. We got the Islanders portion over with. This Islanders podcast. Let's move on, as they say. All right.
So the New York Metropolitans, as we speak at this very moment in time, have a half-game lead over the St. Louis Cardinals.
Is that right?
As the second team in the wild card race, as the St. Louis Cardinals lost tonight. So the Mets have one win. They've played one more game than the Cardinals. The Mets are 74-66. The Cardinals 73-66. And the next closest team is 4 back from the Mets. The Mets are 8-2 in their last 10 on a 5-game winning streak. And in fact, the Giants, the San Francisco Giants, are only a half game ahead of the Mets with the same number of wins and just one fewer loss. I mean, geez, who saw this run coming from this team? Just, seemingly their pitching staff just being ripped to shreds, and you have these Gazelmans and Lugos and Monteros of the world that are keeping them in games.
Yeah, the forgotten prospect Montero.
It's a pretty and you look at their schedule, a better situation there.
Oh, it's tailor-made. I mean, their schedule's a joke, and the rest of the National League is just so bad. I mean, the Mets. I mean, things have broken perfectly for the Mets here, with the rest of the National League falling off. I mean, the Pirates and the Marlins were there. Both of them have just went in the tank. I mean, they're both done. I mean, the rest of the National League is just terrible.
Should we give Terry Collins any credit here for keeping this team in the mix? Doesn't he deserve something? I mean, a month ago we wrote this team off and said, pitch rotation is done, offense is home run or nothing. Curtis Granderson, the epitome of that. Well, they've battled and they've gone on this run here. I don't. It's pretty, and nobody's showing up to the games. I think if you look at I actually want to check the attendance for yesterday's day game at Citi Field. I think we're gonna be.
Well, they were in Cincinnati yesterday.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
But
thank you.
Well, we'll see what the attendance is against the Braves and Phillies and Twins when they play them. So those are the next, I think, home opponents for the Mets.
The Mets last played at home. Well, they played the Nationals on Sunday. I'm sure they drew a decent crowd for that one.
Yeah, I was there actually on last Friday.
That was 30,000.
Yeah, they had a decent crowd. I mean, weekend Nationals. I mean, you figure it'd be a decent crowd, and the
speaking of them, Strasburg is probably done for the year.
I saw that. Yes.
I mean, they have other pitchers there, but.
Well, Scherzer is one of the top pitchers in the game, and Washington is still a talented team, and I mean, I can't see the Mets catching Washington. I know that some and some cockeyed optimist Met fans may actually think that the Mets could catch Washington. It's not inconceivable. We've seen teams blow big leads in September before, Met fans. But I don't think it's going to happen this year. I mean, the Mets have this tailor-made to just waltz right into the playoffs, at least as a wild card. But here's what I'll say about the Mets, and I'm not going to, yes, I give Terry Collins credit. The Mets, we did kind of leave them for dead a few weeks ago. But here's what led their resurgence. It was the return of Yoanus Cespedes, who, in my opinion, is the NL MVP this year. I mean, no player right now is more valuable to their team than Yoanus Cespedes is to the Mets. And I don't think it's even close right now. I mean, that's how... Yoanus. That's right. He is just so valuable to that team.
Yoanus. Anuses are valuable.
I don't seriously. I mean, he is in my opinion, the NL MVP, and I don't think it's even a debate. And he comes back. The team starts to hit. This team starts to play better. Obviously against shoddy opponents, but Terry Collins deserves credit for keeping the Mets of at least participating in the resurgence there and keeping the Mets afloat. But obviously these, young pitchers coming up and, these no-name pitchers coming up and, doing a terrific job for the Mets. But here's what I'll also say is that nobody's going to throw the Mets a parade if they fall a game or two short of the wild card or if they lose in the wild card, elimination game. The Mets are coming off of a World Series appearance. Yes, they've had some big injuries, but nobody is going to, call it a successful year if they finish short of the playoffs or if they go one and done. At least I'm sure most diehard Met fans would agree with that. Would you agree with that?
Well, it depends on the perspective you take. If it's compared to where they were going into the season, absolutely. But when you consider all the injuries they've sustained and how they've still managed to stay relevant this late into the year, I'm inclined to think that credit should be given to the heart that this team has shown to stay relevant. So I don't know. There's different ways that you can look at it in that respect.
Well, you can compare them to the Yankees, and we'll get to the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees right now, if they fall a game or two short, everybody's going to get up and give them a standing ovation for staying in the race despite trading off three of their best players, or arguably their three best players. But the Yankees are playing they're playing without any pressure, playing with house money. The Mets still have expectations. Met fans are still expecting the Mets to get to the playoffs and make a run. At least that's what I would think most diehard Met fans would be, approaching this last month of the season.
Well, now that the Mets are relevant again, but I think a month ago the Mets fan would have said, "Well, maybe this season isn't meant to be with all the injuries. I'm okay with them not making the playoffs." But now maybe the expectation is back that because if the season ended this second, they would be in the playoff game. Well, let's we'll revisit this in a week or two and see how they're doing. And I don't know if DeGrom is going to come back. Matt's probably not, but they can backdoor their way into this with Yoanus.
As long as he's in the lineup, if he's in, they go. He is the engine that drives that team right now.
It is the engine.
It is about him. It is about. Granderson is finally starting to hit. They got a nice boost from Reyes. That guy that we've talked about, and still has that cloud that hovers over him. But he's giving him a nice boost. But how about maybe Tim Tebow coming up and giving the Mets an even bigger boost? Had to get it in there. Had to get it in.
It's so annoying to see these mainstream media channels.
Oh my God! The Mets signed Tim Tebow. He's here. He's back in New York. Everybody. Oh my God.
There's going to be reporters at this, instructional league complex just following. Oh, what did he do today? How was your workout today? Well, we had a simulated game, and I took 20 pitches and swung at 30, and put 20 of them into play. Oh, so your BABIP is on the rise since last week, right? Jeez.
Hey, they have to follow him whatever he does. It's an infatuation with him ever since he burst onto the scene in Florida. It's just a national just fascination and cult following is what he's built up.
What has he even done that I don't understand what
I never understood it. I never got it, especially when he was in Denver and they're falling all over themselves in Denver. Oh my God, Tim Tebow. And I'm like, people, are you watching him play? He is awful. The guy is maybe the worst quarterback I have ever seen, maybe even worse than the guy that's playing quarterback for Denver tonight. I mean, he was hideous watching him play. He was a great college player. Nobody will take that away. But oh my God, I just never understood it. And then he comes to the Jets and sabotages Mark Sanchez's career, just by him being there. And the Jets had no
coming
idea.
on every 7 plays.
Yeah, exactly.
So brutal.
Like Tony Sperano and Rex Ryan, should we put him in now? Is he going to do something positive? I mean, it was such a joke. And I don't know. And now he's playing baseball. And maybe next he'll be an ultimate fighter, or I don't know. Maybe strap some skates on. Maybe he can play defense for the Islanders. They'll bring it, give him a minor league. They'll give him a camp invite. How about that? All right, Tim Tebow. Goodbye.
Okay.
W gas.
So you did mention the Yankees before. Low expectations. This team is still staying relevant. I don't think they're going to make it because there's just too many teams.
Yeah, too many
between them and the playoff spots. And you look at their schedule, and it is
Brutal.
just hideous. They really have to go 17-7 or so, I think, to have a shot.
I agree.
And that's 10 games over 500. They're 8 games over 500 now. Well, that doesn't count tonight's
I mean,
outcome, which I
basically play like around 700 baseball, and against very hard competition. They have 7 with the Rays. They just beat the Rays tonight. They continue to win.
So they're 8 over 500. They have to basically go another 9 over 500. They pretty much have to go 16-7 the rest of the way, I think.
I mean, figure that they're probably going to need around 90 wins. So yeah, so they're probably going to win.
Yeah,
they're going to need to win
exactly.
another 16.
They need to go 16-7.
Yeah.
That would be the final line.
I agree.
And they're 8 games over on the year, and we're asking them to go 9 games over in the last 19 games. So
tall order. Too many teams, and the American League is. I mean, it's head and shoulders above the National League right now. I mean, you look at like how many like legitimately good teams there are in the American League. National League, it's the Cubs, it's the Nationals. I mean, the Dodgers are, they've been on this run. I mean, almost
if
miraculous.
they get Kershaw back, I mean, that's
yeah. I mean, they've been doing it
but
without Kershaw. I mean, the American League right now is just that much better than the National League. And the Yankees. Look, you know what? Just have fun with it. If you're a Yankee fan, I'm a Yankee fan. I'm actually excited to watch the team play, and but just approach it like this. The team, you thought they were gonna, that they were just gonna kind of go away and fall by the wayside as soon as they traded their players. Instead, they go the other direction. They're now young, exciting. They're fun to watch. Just have fun with it. There's no pressure. There should be no stress watching this. If they fall short, hey, it was a great run. Thanks for giving us some exciting baseball the last couple of months, and you look forward to next year. That's the approach the Yankee fans should take, which is not the approach I would think that diehard Met fans will take. But hey, we'll see how it unfolds.
Maybe a month ago, we were kind of laughing at who was the face, of the Yankees, and maybe we don't have an answer, but the pictures are a little less blurry now than they were back then. Because we were saying Didi Gregorius is probably
Didi, yep.
But, you have these young guys that are emerging, and we'll see if, I think more credit to Cashman for making the moves, and it's panned out. And it shows a lot of excitement going into next year. All right.
All right. Next.
I think we're ready to get into
NASCAR? Ultimate
some
Fighting?
football for NASCAR. Yeah.
Dun,
dun, dun,
right,
dun,
right.
dun.
Well, I'll let you
dun,
take
dun,
the
dun, 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 dun.
Or what's the injury music?
So
I can never do
we
the injury music. Do. I can't do it.
It's a little slow.
Yeah.
The injury timeout music
The injury
on
time
Fox.
music on Fox. Yep.
It's a little slower and sad.
Yeah, it is very it's very morose sounding. Yeah.
So the first game of the NFL season is on as we speak, and will be over by the time anyone listens to this. And so the full, the main slate of games get going 1:00 this Sunday. So tonight we're going to talk about what we're looking for the Jets home opener and opening day against Cincinnati, and then the Giants at Dallas. It's a 4:25 game.
Right, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the Hip will be in attendance for that New York Jets versus Cincinnati Bengals
Absolutely.
game. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Now,
am I a Jets fan? I don't know, but I will be there.
Now, well, I was going to say over and under on how long it'll take into the first quarter before you start laughing at like some kind of gaffe or miscue or turnover. But how about predicting what gaffe or which player will I guess either commit that gaffe or turnover or miscue that'll bring tears to your eyes, that tears of joy and laughter.
So here's one good thing about being at the game in person that I actually look forward to watching, provided the tailgating isn't too intense. Watching AJ Green against Darrelle Revis or whoever's covering AJ Green, because I think that is the biggest. That's the biggest matchup to watch in this game. Cincinnati really doesn't have any significant pass-catching threats other than A.J. Green. And A.J. Green is a top 6 receiver in the National Football League. So the Jets should be out to stop AJ Green from any big plays. Is he going to get a few catches? Yes, he's absolutely going to get some catches, but it's the big plays that the Jets need to prevent. And so watching the coverages and the routes is something you can't really see on television. So it's going to be fun to be able to watch that chess match between. Let's see, it would be I guess it would be I don't know who the offensive coordinator is now for Cincinnati, but
no longer Hugh Jackson, so I don't know
exactly. Well, whoever's calling the shots there for the offense, regardless, that is to me the biggest thing to watch. There's a few others like, Ryan Fitzpatrick held out. Is there? You say hold out. He did get to training camp, but maybe I want to see how sharp he looks. Has he lost a step because he's a year older and because he's just, I don't think, as good as he really played last year in general. I think he was kind of on cloud nine all season. So we'll see how that plays out. Now you have, instead of Chris Ivory, Matt Forte, who's been, attributed with the hamstring injury all preseason. Is he going to be at his full speed, which is not really a fast speed to begin with? So you have the Jets' new running game. Cincinnati doesn't bring as formidable as an offense as they've had because they lost Mohamed Sanu and Marvin Jones. They bring in Brandon LaFell and Tyler Boyd, who's a rookie. Tyler Eifert is out. The Jets have a very, very good run defense on paper, so I don't really see Jeremy Hill getting going.
Jeremy Hill, bench him if you have him in fantasy. Yeah,
I have him. I'm benching him.
That's right.
and I have to start 3 running backs, and I'm not even using him among the 3. I think Jeremy Hill's only going to be relevant if he gets into the end zone, which of course is always possible, but I just don't see a big stat line. Giovanni Bernard, he's gonna probably play a big role in this one, I think. So it's gonna be can the linebackers contain him on getting those catches out of the backfield? In the end, I think the Jets defense holds up enough and the offense is good enough to get the Jets a narrow victory in this one. Cincinnati just doesn't really scare me on paper.
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati's still a talented team. I mean, their wide receiver core is not as formidable as it was last year. I mean, obviously you still have Green, who, as you mentioned, is one of the top wide receivers in the league. But I think Cincinnati will still be able to move the ball. Again, the Jets defense, as you pointed out, is could be a top defense. We've talked about this on prior shows. They could be a top defense in the league. I think this is going to be one of the better games on Sunday. This is two pretty evenly matched teams. Going up against each other in week 1. Now, week 1, you go back, however many years now in the NFL, week 1, you always have so many just wacky and just crazy games and finishes, and, teams are, they're sloppy in the beginning and they're not cohesive and they're not on the same page with certain, whether it's the offense or defense with blown coverages. And so, I mean, you always have to factor that in when you look at any game in week 1, especially if you're in a suicide league or, one of those type of leagues and you're scratching your head. Oh my God.
Good luck with that. I mean, this first week is almost impossible. Just close your eyes and point a finger.
Pretty much, might as well. Yeah, just throw a dart. And just.
It really feels like that this year.
Yeah, and you always have that week 1 in the NFL. But I think this is going to be a good game between, I think, 2 good teams. Cincinnati's defense is still good. Cincinnati coming off of that brutal loss in the playoffs against Pittsburgh last year, one of the worst
losses you've ever seen.
We talked about that. I remember that was one of our first shows that we did last January. Right. We talked about that. It was just such a terrible. I mean. Talk about just giving a game away. I mean, as much as you can give a game away. I mean, that's what Cincinnati did last year at home against Pittsburgh with A.J. McCarron playing quarterback and making plays for Cincinnati. But Dalton is back. He's healthy. And I think this will be – I'll give a prediction. You said Jets close. I'll go the opposite way. Not that I'm rooting against the Jets, but I'll say close game, Cincinnati, maybe by a field goal. What's the line on this game? I think – is Cincinnati favored actually in this game or the Jets favored?
I don't know. Let's see.
I want to say it was a very
wow. The Jets are have 2.5 points. Very interesting.
they're getting 2.5. Wow.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I wouldn't expect that, but okay. Yeah, what's the biggest line? The Houston's getting 6 against Chicago. Kansas City's getting 6.5.
I think it's Seattle.
Getting
yeah,
10.5.
giving away
So
10.5 against Miami.
suicide pool. That's the.
That'll be by far the biggest pick of the week of this week 1.
All right, well, good
Most
enough.
definitely.
I mean, I don't know what else you have to say about the Jets game, but I look forward to breaking it down, and it's every team is optimistic. Well, pretty much every team. Maybe not every team.
Maybe not Cleveland.
I don't know. I think Cleveland has some optimism.
They stink.
Well, what about why? I mean, San Francisco or
they stink
San
too.
Francisco or St. Louis.
They stink
no, LA now. Sorry, I'm so used to saying.
LA is a good defense, though. I don't think LA is going to. I mean, LA could, if their defense keeps them in games. I mean, yeah, their quarterback situations. I mean, is a dumpster fire.
Who else is catching passes besides Tavon Austin? I know the answer. I'm wondering if you do.
Is that guy Brian Quick's on the team? he was a favorite sleep. He was always a hip sleeper favorite. Was he not?
Kenny Britt is the number 2 receiver.
That's right. I forgot Kenny Britt. The Rutgers guy who was on his way to having a really good career and then just kept blowing out his knee. At least
I think Brian Quick had 10 catches last year.
And they do have Gurley. I mean, Gurley is a right now.
I don't know. I
think LA will be. Well, I think they'll be an 8-8, maybe 9-7 type team this year. I think they have the potential to be there.
With Case Keenum at quarterback.
I mean, who knows how long he'll be playing quarterback if they'll eventually go to their number 1 pick, Goff, who right now is supposedly is going to be inactive. Think about that. Number 1 overall pick is inactive.
You know what? But I don't think that's incredible. You know what? We've see the expectation has shifted over the years, where rookie quarterbacks. Okay, fine, he's a number 1 pick. I get it, but there's been a shift in an expectation that a rookie quarterback can have a positive impact on a team in year 1, not just on his development, but on making the team relevant in football games. And I don't know. I don't think it should just be cast as a negative on a number 1 pick if they're not in a position to do that right away, because it's just so much to learn.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's surprising that he's inactive, not even that he's not starting, just the fact that he's not even dressing. But no, you're right. I mean, hey, look back, going back 20, 30, 40 years. I mean, you saw quarterbacks sit. I mean, you saw as recently as Aaron Rodgers, you saw him sit for a couple of years. I mean, that didn't exactly hurt his career, did it? So, Terry Bradshaw sat, Steve Young sat. So, I mean, you have so many examples of, Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Tygart, that's right. He sat too. So he sat in Baltimore before he got his break with Buffalo. So, hey, I mean, it doesn't, I'm not saying he should be starting it. He had an awful preseason. Jeff Fisher is not a guy that's going to say, to hell with it, we'll just roll with him. I mean, he's going to play the best guy. Not that, Case Keenum, I mean, best guy. But I think, the Rams, they could be, like 7-9, 9-7 range. That's what I would predict for the Rams this year.
God. Okay. Okay, so let's get to your Ben McAdoo.
Those guys. Oh, yes, the New York Giants. All right.
How do you feel about McAdoo taking over the reins? Now that we're 3 days away from actually seeing the first game of the year.
Yes, that's right. He's the new head coach, isn't he? Actually, it was funny. I was listening to him being interviewed this afternoon by the one and only Mike Francesa. Good afternoon, Ben. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Tell us about coaching your first NFL game. How do you feel? So McAdoo is, if there is one thing that he has mastered as head coach of a football team. See, coordinators usually, don't talk to the media. Some head coaches forbid coordinators from talking to the media. So all you have to do is just, be a coach. You never have to say anything. Ben McAdoo never said anything under Tom Coughlin. I don't think he said anything under McCarthy in Green Bay. hearing him talk, he has mastered the art of providing the most generic, cliched answer to every question he is asked. It is such a brutal interview listening to him. I mean, everything, Francesa tried to ask him every which way. He even had to bring out a couple of times, well, Mike, I'm not going to divulge our game plan,
Yeah,
on Thursday.
I heard that.
And Francesa wasn't even asking to do that. He was just, take the temperature of your team right now. Just asking him like those typical questions, especially for rookie head coach. Oh, the week leading up to it, how is your preparation? How do you feel about your team? What are you going to do on Saturday night? All that nonsense. And everything is, I feel good. We're in a good position. I think we're going to do well. Keep things simple. Run the ball. Stop the run. No turnovers. I think that was like his answer to almost every question Francesa asked. So don't even bother, folks. If you saw Ben McAdoo on the WFAN site and go, oh, I want to listen, don't even waste your time. It is a waste. 15 minutes of my life I'll never get back.
4:30 every Sunday. Every Thursday. Check in to Ben McAdoo on the Fan, promoting another station. Yes.
Coach, your team lost 72-57. Wow, break it down for us. Well, our offense played pretty good. Our defense didn't play so good. Next week we're gonna come out with a better effort.
Well, maybe look, he's a new head coach, and does he have the swagger?
Oh, he is brilliant. He has. I mean. He was brilliant. I mean, I got to give him credit.
Does he have the swagger of the Rex Ryans of the world? No, but you know what? He
sounds like an
anti-controversy. He's just trying to minimize the media attention right now.
No brashness, no bravado.
That's okay.
Oh, that's okay. That's fine. You're right. That's fine. I'm just saying, he's not giving anything, but he sounds like an old school football coach. That's what he sounds like. I mean, McCarthy is definitely looked at as an old school football coach in Green Bay. He was under him. Obviously, Coughlin, we know. So, rookie head coach, you never know. But anyway, so getting onto the game, rookie head coach for the Giants, rookie quarterback, and a rookie running back for the Dallas Cowboys. As we all know, Tony Romo, Slow-Mo, is out for at least they didn't put him on IR, but he's gonna, who the hell knows? He may never play another down in the NFL. We'll see. But everybody's raving about this kid, Dak or whatever his name is, on Dallas. Amazing preseason. Oh my God, 4th round pick. Who would have thought? Look how good he looks. We'll see against real competition, especially against a halfway decent defense.
Yes, I mean it's look, we love the shiny new object. The element of unknown. It's exciting. Let's take a step back for a second. Remember, this guy's a 4th round draft pick. He's never taken an NFL snap. He's never seen a full package of blitzes and coverages and disguises. Not that I know anything about it myself, but he hasn't seen it in live action. And, playing in the preseason is one thing, but teams don't show all their cards, let alone half their cards, in the preseason. So he is going to face a whole new, this is like not, it's just not even comparable to the preseason, what he's about to see. It's one thing if he has had some experience, but he has had zero. And so is he going to make some plays? Yes, I think he is, but let's not get ahead of ourselves and think that this guy is anointed as the successor for Tony Romo before he's even taken it down. So let's see what happens here. Now, of course, if the Giants surrender, 2 70-yard touchdown passes in the first half, yikes. I mean, geez, next week is going to be a rough discussion. But I don't even think this guy has a great arm.
To be fair, Mark Sanchez, now the backup in Dallas, did throw for 260-something yards against the Houston Texans in his first NFL game. Everybody was like, "Oh, look how good Sanchez looks." And now Mark Sanchez is gone. Look, his career is gone.
They do have Dallas has a good offensive line, so they should keep them upright, and it gives him chances to make plays. So it's good. What do you think? Is that going to be an interesting battle? The Giants with, Pierre-Paul and the
Yeah.
rest of the crew there and the Dallas offensive line, that's probably a matchup to really focus on in this one.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the Giants, we talked about the revamped defensive line for the Giants, actually have some talent along that defensive line, which I think could be really, really formidable this year. We talked about that on prior episodes. Obviously, the two bookends there with Vernon and JPP, and the two guys in the middle, Hankins and the former Jet, Snacks Harrison. So that's definitely going to be interesting to watch. Can the Giants apply pressure on Prescott? Just force him, again, like you said, just giving him different looks and different blitz packages and, showing him things, especially with real NFL talent, as opposed to the guys that he faced in the preseason that he put up these, gaudy stats against, who are now either on the taxi squad or on the unemployment line. So, the Giants, maybe, the Giant defensive players against the rookie quarterback, maybe licking their chops. We'll see how that, works itself out. But speaking of offensive lines, how about the Giants' offensive line, which was an absolute disaster in the preseason? That was one of the things that was asked of Mr. McAdoo today, and he was like, "Oh, I feel okay. They look good. They've had some good practices." But who knows? That's the spot-on impression as well. Who knows what to expect from that offensive line, which is just looked terrible in the preseason, was at times shaky last year. The Flowers, their former first-round pick on the left side, who I thought had a very good rookie year, apparently was very, very suspect in the preseason. The left side of the line from Richburg, who was a terrific center. Pugh on Pugh as left guard, and then Flowers on the left tackle spot should be okay. Question is, how about that right side of the offensive line with two journeymen, veteran players in John Jerry and Marshall Newhouse? How will they hold up? Well, that is one of the big things to watch in the early going for the Giants. I mean, Dallas is missing some guys on defense. I don't think Dallas' defense is that great anyway. Their secondary is not bad, but I think the Giants should be able to move the ball some on the Cowboys, and we'll see if they're able to put up some points, as that is something that the Giants offense did not do at least their first team offense did not do at all in the preseason. So it should. I think it'll be a relatively high scoring game. I think it should be competitive. It usually is when these two teams play. I will give the Giants the edge, though. I think. I don't know who's favored actually in this one either. I forget.
I think it's an even line.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Even. Wow. Well, I'll pick the Giants. I think the Giants are a better team right now than the Cowboys, and I will pick them.
I mean, it's just such a big element of unknown with the quarterback, so it's hard to. There's a wider range of outcomes just given the element of unknown. He could be really, really bad and have to get benched, and God forbid they have to use Mark Sanchez. If I'm not mistaken, he's on the Cowboys, right? You mentioned
Yep.
You don't know.
The Giants have Eli Manning.
This guy throws in, 2 interceptions in the first quarter. Is his confidence shaken? And now they're onto their backup already. I mean, it could go really badly. You don't know.
I think it'll take a lot for him to bench him. I mean, he would have to look like absolutely horrible. I mean, maybe like 3 interceptions in the first quarter before they would consider making a move. But yeah, I mean, quarterback matchup. Obviously, the Giants have that in spades with Eli Manning, and the Giants, they have weapons. We've talked about obviously Odell Beckham, who's one of the best receivers in the league. He is one of the great playmakers. He could be, one of the great playmaking wide receivers of his generation. That's how talented he is. Threat to take the ball to the end zone every time he touches it. They drafted Shepard, who we talked about, who's on my fantasy team, who is very talented. Cruz, is back on the field practicing, so you hope that he, can get back up to game speed. And the Giants' offense, if their offensive line keeps Eli Manning upright. Maybe again in the early going, we talked about NFL games, the first week or couple weeks, teams looking sloppy with turnovers, and we've seen Eli Manning commit some turnovers in the early going. But if they can withstand that, weather that, I think it has the makings of a very explosive and dangerous Giants offense.
I read something that I don't have the exact numbers in front of me. It was something like Odell Beckham has as many 100-yard games in like 17 games as Des Bryant took like 50 games.
Yeah, wow.
Something absurd. Yeah.
He is
And,
a playmaker of the highest order. I mean, he is that good and that talented of a wide receiver. And yeah, I mean the guy is incredible. I mean, it's so much fun to watch him. I mean, every time he catches the ball, he can catch a little, 12-yard slant, and if he gets his step on his defender, I mean, he's gone in the blink of an eye. I mean, he is quite the incredible athlete. But they're going to need more out of him this year. They're going to need him to be, step up and be more of a leader, especially after what happened in the Carolina game last year, all that nonsense that took place. They need him to grow up. They need him to mature. They need him to be the leader of that wide receiver group and one of the leaders of that offense. They're going to be relying on him very heavily, throughout the whole season. And we'll see if he can live up to those very, very gaudy expectations. Hipster doctrine is suspended for Odell Beckham, folks.
Yeah. I'm just looking now. Odell Beckham has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 100-yard games starting from 2010. He's been in the league a decent chunk now. In 84 games.
This is Bryant or Beckham?
Bryant.
Oh, Bryant. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about Beckham. Yeah, no, Bryant. Yeah, sounds about right. 4 or 5.
What did I say? How many 100-yard games did I say he had?
Bryant, you just said 15, right?
I'm sorry, 84 games. In 84 games. Yeah.
1,500-yard games in 84 games?
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that unbelievable?
I mean, you would think it would be more. I mean, granted, he was playing with some shoddy quarterback play in there, as obviously Romo has been hurt for some of that, but I mean, Bryant is we've seen Bryant, make some incredible plays. He is also a very talented wide receiver, but yeah, he's been inconsistent. He has not been, he shows flashes of greatness, and then other times, he leaves you, wanting a little bit. And I mean, I think, you're waiting for him to break out. I mean, could this be the year? I mean, now again, he's not playing with his quarterback. He's playing with a rookie 4th-round pick quarterback, throwing him passes. Let's see if he can, maybe elevate the quarterback, because I mean, that's what you hope for out of your big, receiver, to prop up your rookie quarterback. So let's see if he can do that in Dallas.
Guess how many 100-yard games Odell Beckham has had already?
How many games?
I'm asking you to guess.
No, I'm saying how many games has he played?
Oh, all right.
So he's played 2 full seasons. This is his 3rd season. He missed the first 4 games.
First season, he only played 12.
Okay, and he played, last year he missed, was it just the one he was suspended? He was suspended the 1 game after
yes.
the Carolina
he played
game.
27 games.
All right.
27
games. Well, you did. Well, I guess you just said, if I was paying attention, that he has more than Dez. So, I mean, yeah, 27 games. There haven't been that many where he hasn't gotten to 100 yards. I'll say 17 games of 100 yards.
It's 15 games. It's the same number as Dez Bryant.
Oh, same. Oh, you said same. Okay.
In over 80 games.
That is incredible.
Incredible.
That's incredible.
Played 27 games.
That is incredible.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean,
Last
it's just,
year, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He had a stretch where he had 6 games in a row with over 100 yards.
I mean, think about his rookie year. He burst onto the scene, and it took him a couple games before he really found his stride. But once he did, he took off. I mean, and the guy has just been absolutely. And now, look, he's had a couple of games where he's been frustrated. Especially last year, the Buffalo game, and his rookie year, the St. Louis game. I think, he's expressed. He's demonstrated his frustrations and gotten into just the side nonsense with some of the opposing defensive players. But
against St. Louis, he still had 8 for 148 and 2 scores. Against Buffalo. It was just 5 catches, 38 yards.
Okay.
Against Dallas, he had 4 catches, 35 yards. Actually, again, he really struggled against Dallas last year. 5 catches, 44 yards in the opener, and then 4 catches for 35 yards in the 7th game. He definitely struggled. But anyway, I just think it just shows the placement of how far Beckham has come in less than 2 full seasons. And meanwhile, Des Bryant, people still consider him a top receiver in the league, and I don't know, maybe he's overrated.
I mean, he's still a very talented wide receiver. Again, you've seen him make so many great plays, but he's just inconsistent. He is not demonstrating. Being a great wide receiver is not just making the flashy play and the great catch every now and again. You have to be consistent, make those tough catches, make those third down catches. I mean, that's where the great wide receivers really separate themselves from maybe like the flashier, maybe more talented, but just not as consistent wide receivers. And I mean, that's what you look for. You look for a complete, if you're looking for an all-around complete wide receiver, it's a guy that's going to make every catch, catches in traffic, catches on the outside, catches over the middle, third down catches, obviously, touchdowns, making those tough catches in the end zone. That's what you're looking for. And Odell Beckham has the talent to, I mean, his ceiling, is the sky. The sky is the limit with this guy. That's how good he is.
Highest ceiling of any receiver, I think. Higher than Antonio Brown's.
I agree. And Antonio Brown is a guy that's really, elevated himself as a guy that, came out of college, as maybe a decent prospect, but has turned himself into one of the top, if not the best receiver in the league. So good for him.
So right, before we go, I will give you the opportunity to share any other storylines.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Mr. Hip. Mr. Hip.
Hello.
Oh, yes, there you are. Yes. I'm sorry, you were saying you wanted me to share something?
Yeah, unless you get disconnected in the meantime, and we'll call it a night. But if there's any NFL storylines or predictions that you want to share, just pick a couple as we descend upon the first Sunday of the NFL regular season.
I tell you what. So we'll make a prediction for our Jets and Giants record and where they will place in their division, and we'll start with that. How about that? So you want to make a prediction for the Jets? I'll make one for the Giants.
All right, we're not going to do a win-loss game by game.
Oh, you mean like back in the day, the dog and the fat man? All right, Mike, we're going to go down the list here. So Jets, week number 1, Bengals. What do you say? Loss. Okay, let's move on now. Week number 2. What do you think? Win.
The Jets have a pretty tough 6-game schedule here to start the year.
Yes, they do.
It's actually very tough. And they have 2 games. They have to play Brady twice. And they would consider themselves well positioned if they come out of the first 6 games 3-3. I'm gonna say they. Right, so let's say they do that, and then they take care of Baltimore and Cleveland. Let's say they lose to Miami. They beat the Rams. They lose to New England. They lose to the Colts. They beat the Niners. They beat Miami. 9-7.
All right, good for
the 9-7, and it's a wild card. The Patriots also go 9-7, but have the tiebreaker.
Ooh, how about that? That would be tough for Jet fans to swallow, especially with no Brady for the first 4 games. Like I said, the football gods were cruel to the Jets. I mean, those first, the first 4 games.
I haven't looked at the Patriots schedule, but I don't know. I don't know if the Jets are good enough to really just break through this year. I don't know if I see it happening. I think they're good enough to make the playoffs, but not you know, be a 12-4 type team. I just don't see that.
Yeah, I mean, they like Garoppolo. I mean, you talk about storyline. I mean, that is a big storyline. The first 4 games, no Brady. Garoppolo, is he the real deal? Patriots like him a lot. Hear all good things about him. We'll see what kind of a quarterback he is. I mean, we know he'll be sitting down as soon as Mr. Brady is back. I mean, they could be 4-0. We know that he'll be taking a seat, at least I would think, as soon as Brady is ready to come back. But that is obviously a big storyline, and I'm sure that they will promote the hell out of week number 5 when Brady comes back, as the NFL is best at. So, all right, so 9-7, and you think that is good for a wild card for the Jets? I mean, it's so difficult to predict that, but all right, sounds good. I think Jet fans would sign for that right now. All right, Giants. I will say, looking at their schedule here, which is not easy. I mean, they have, some, they're out of conferences against the AFC North. So you have the Steelers, you have the Bengals, the Browns stink, and the Ravens, who knows? And their division is obviously, we talked about, very weak, or at least it appears it could be very weak this year. I'm going to say, I'll be optimistic. I'll give them 10 wins. I know it's a kind of a cop-out. Just say 10 wins. I think they'll be better in their schedule and the division. So I'll say 10-6 division title. They will edge out the Washington Redskins, who will finish 9-7. I say that the Cowboys go 8-8, and the Eagles will finish at, I'll give them a 5-11.
Yeah,
so there you
Eagles. The Eagles might be pretty bad this year. With not that Bradford is a savior of a quarterback, but
the trade made sense for both teams. I mean, that was a trade. I mean, they gave up too much, Minnesota, but Minnesota had high hopes for this year. They didn't want to throw the season down the drain with Sean Hill at quarterback. So
I've always had a small man crush on Sean Hill.
He's like the I don't know. What was a good example? What's a good analogy to Sean Hill? I'm trying to think, maybe like a Steve DeBerg back in the day. I don't know who's like another like journey.
Well, what I had hoped is that Sean Hill turned into what Jeff Garcia was. But he never came close to what Jeff Garcia did.
That he didn't.
Just a journeyman backup who suddenly came in and for the 49ers. And I think Jeff Garcia the first. No, he wasn't. There was Kyle Bowler was there.
Kyle Bowler.
This is like right after Steve Young hung up his cleats.
Well, Kyle Bowler actually, I think, was taken by the Ravens. But Garcia, you're right. No, Garcia was I think a backup to Steve Young. Young played through, I want to say 99, or it was around there. Yeah, because Garcia took over. Maybe he didn't take over right after Young, or maybe he did. I forget. But
no, because they had somebody else. Because I remember. Garcia took over mid-season and then was a sex.
Wait. Was that when you got him for $1?
Yes, because he was a starter going into that season, but he took over, I think, for Kyle Bowler during the season prior.
It wasn't Kyle Bowler. Bowler was a pick of Baltimore.
Who am I thinking of then? I keep saying Kyle Bowler.
I don't remember who bridged the Young to Garcia. Garcia was a quarterback of the 49ers, of course, when they broke the hearts of Giant fans in 2002. If you remember, we were watching that game in Michigan as the Giants had a 78-point lead or whatever it was, and they blew it in the second half. And saw the 49ers led by Jeff Garcia and Terrell Owens come back and beat the Giants. So that was one of the worst losses I have experienced as a Giant fan. Jeff Garcia being the quarterback for the 49ers.
I confused. Actually, I don't know. In '99, it was Steve Young, Steve Stenstrom, and Jeff Garcia. Ty Detmer was there for a year.
Ty Detmer.
And Tim Rattay a few years later. But
Tim Rattay.
I think Ken Dorsey and Alex Smith. I don't know. Maybe Jeff Garcia did take over. We'd have to dig into this. Maybe Jeff Garcia. Didn't Steve Young get injured during the year, and that was it? Was that what happened?
He may have. It's possible.
He played 3 games.
You remember Giovanni Camarzi? a draft pick
Yes.
out of Hofstra quarterback, a draft pick of the San Francisco 49ers.
He never started a game for them. Never.
Couldn't tell you, but
So in '99, Steve Young played 3 games, Steve Stenstrom 3, Jeff Garcia 10. And so in 2000, Jeff Garcia, and 2001 and 2, Jeff Garcia started all 3 years, all 16 games.
Well, how about that?
All right, well,
all right, next.
We expected to discuss
into the career of Jeff Garcia, or the San Francisco quarterbacks, the bridge from Steve Young to Jeff Garcia.
All right, I'm good here. I'm ready to follow the games on Sunday while watching the Jets and get the season started and pay attention to the baseball and start getting ready for the Islanders. I mean, a little bit. I think it's still on the back burner, but
yeah, before you know it, training camp will begin, and we'll be talking about how the Islanders may actually be worse than they were last year.
Yes, he is. Josh Bailey.
Oh, go away, Josh Bailey. When are they going to trade him?
All right. Well,
all right, next.
I will leave you with any, last chance for parting words.
Nah, I think we're good. We
all right.
Covered a lot of ground here, and we will break it all down after week 1 of the NFL.
Break it down. I'll break it down.
We'll go around the league, and we will break
I'll break it down on Yoanus. All right.
Fans hope. All right, next. Bye.